And welcome back to the NWR Virtual Investor Conference. I'm Andrew Gagan from Ausbis. Good to have your company again. Our next company is Cann Group, ticker code CAN. It is building a world-class business focused on breeding, cultivating, manufacturing, and supplying medicinal cannabis for sale and use within Australia and for approved overseas export markets. Cann also owns Satori Farm, a Europe-based business exclusively licensed to manufacture, develop, and market the proprietary Girl Pearl delivery system for cannabinoids. And Cann has established research and cultivation facilities in Melbourne and is developing a state-of-the-art cultivation and manufacturing facility near Mildura in Victoria. And just a reminder, if you'd like to ask questions after the presentation, do so by using the Q&A panel on your screen. We're now joined by the Chief Executive of Cann Group, Peter Crock, and the Chief Operating Officer, Shane Duncan. Peter.
Thanks, Andrew. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to NWR for giving us the opportunity to update you on the business. We're seeing some very interesting developments in the medicinal cannabis space as new markets and market segments continue to open up and demand continues to grow. Cann Group is positioned to capitalise on these opportunities and is pushing forward with some important growth initiatives, which we'll outline to you this afternoon. But let's start with a quick overview of the Cann business. Cann Group was the first Australian medicinal cannabis company to secure its regulatory licences and permits in 2017. And over the past 4 years, we've built a strong track record of producing and supplying product to the international GMP standards. There are some important regulatory changes on the horizon which will restrict the import of product into Australia which does not meet those high standards, which is consistent with what we're seeing in other parts of the world, where GMP quality product is becoming either a requirement or a clear preference. This means that our GMP capabilities take on an even greater significance and value. And those current production capabilities will, at the end of this calendar year, be materially expanded with the commissioning of our new $115 million facility near Mildura. The manufacturing scale we will achieve in Mildura will enable us to pursue additional export agreements and domestic supply arrangements, building on those supply arrangements we already have in place. With the acquisition earlier this year of the Satori Farm business, we now have a proprietary platform for expanding our position in the quickly growing global CBD market, as well as utilising that technology to develop and commercialise unique THC medicinal cannabis products. Our R&D partnerships and programs are focused on supporting our genetics and product development pipelines and are yielding important results which will generate future value for the company. We will be out with our Vineyard 21 full year results and review of operations at the end of the month. We've already indicated that Vineyard 21 revenues were a little over 4.2 million, which is a very significant increase on the prior year, but below our initial expectations. The past 12 months threw up a number of challenges relating to the COVID pandemic, in particular in relation to regulatory delays which pushed back our ability to access export markets. Pleasingly, those regulatory issues are now resolved and we've been able to achieve our first product shipments to markets including Germany and the UK. While we were unable to meet initial revenue guidance, we nevertheless achieved some very important milestones and made significant progress across all areas of business. I'll hand over to Shane in a few minutes to talk about the Satori Farm acquisition and opportunity, but other highlights during the past year included the strategic partnership with the German distributor Iuvo Therapeutics, and of course, securing the construction loan with NAB, which enables us to push ahead with the development of the Mildura facility. Talking of which, here are a few images of the work that's continuing on the Mildura facility. This facility has been designed to enable a staged expansion to an annual capacity of 70,000 kilos of dry flower equivalent, with the initial 12,500 kilogram stage expected to be under cultivation before Christmas this year. The technology incorporated in this facility is world-leading. drawing on the latest design concepts developed by Larsen Projects, a specialist greenhouse engineering consultancy providing technical consulting to the greenhouse industry worldwide. This will be a leading edge technology for Australia, and it is the equal in terms of design technology of anything that's been built in Canada or other parts of the world. Construction is also underway in the support building, and this is part of what will be our GMP manufacturing and extraction suite. And this is one of our newest Mildura hires, Brant, in one of the laboratories where commissioning work has already begun. So as we look out to the end of this calendar year, we will see extraction equipment installed, a manufacturing line installed for our Satori Farm gel pelled technology, and first plants arriving on site to enable cultivation activity to get underway. It's worth noting, last week we began drawing down on the construction loan facility we have in place with the NAB. Also, over the coming months, we will be working with the regulators to ensure we have inspections completed to facilitate necessary approvals. Let me now hand over to Shane, our Chief Operating Officer, to step you through the exciting opportunity we have with Satori Farm. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Peter, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. So, as Peter mentioned earlier, the Satori Farm opportunity is the first in what we're planning is a number of advanced delivery platforms for the delivery of medicinal cannabis products. And the unique nature, here's one of the capsules. It's a bit hard to see on screen, but front page of this presentation has an image of the capsules. So what we're talking about here is a gastro-resistant outer capsule, which then contains these small beads, these micro beads of the active formulation. And the benefit of the two parts, the outer capsule shell and then also the inner beads, is that we protect the active, the cannabinoids as they move through the gut into the small intestine and then ultimately through the liver and into the bloodstream. And by protecting them through that first pass through the gastric acids, we are able to get more active through the gut into the small intestine, into the bloodstream. So improving bioavailability, so the amount of active that actually makes it into the bloodstream to treat the condition that the product has been prescribed for. The second benefit of the technology is that the microencapsulation, the gelatin encapsulation of the active, of the cannabinoids, protects them from light, heat, and oxygen, so making them a much more stable compound. So again, improving the shelf life, the stability of the product, and that's probably as important in terms of the safety and the quality of the product, but also in terms of the manufacturing efficiency that brings. We're able to establish 2-year plus shelf life for these products once we're manufacturing them here in Australia. So that will add a lot of efficiency in terms of batch sizes and the volume of product we can do each time, which again drops the cost of production of each batch. I suppose the really important point to make about Satori Farm is a platform technology that we can use in a number of different ways to deliver cannabis-based medicines. And at the moment, the CBD product is the only product on the market, but over the next 12 months, we'll be introducing a range of products, which also include CBD and THC, to again create a portfolio of very differentiated products, particularly here in Australia. The product, one of the really important things to this acquisition and why it was attractive to us is that the product comes as the technology is patent protected, and and particularly across a number of the large jurisdictions around the world where we see the real commercial opportunity exists. It's an existing business, so we have distribution at the moment in pharmacy groups within the UK and also health food stores, and also we've got distribution and supply agreements into other parts of Europe, Argentina, and the 50 milligram Satori Farm capsules are currently on the market in Australia under the special access scheme. And we've got a good number of patients each month and a growing number of patients each month who are being prescribed and dispensed the Satori Farm 50 milligram capsules. We move to the next slide. We sort of look at the Satori Farm opportunity in two parts. The first part being the CBD only products. CBD as a food supplement is legal in 40 countries around the world at the moment. So there's there is a significant commercial opportunity right now for this product, which we're working our way through with our existing, and then also some new discussions we're having around global licensing deals to add Satori Farm into the portfolio of major consumer health companies who have those sales and marketing engines in these 40 countries, or sales and marketing teams in these countries who can really drive the opportunity and drive sales. As I say, in these 40 countries where the product is licensed. So we continue to pursue those opportunities, and we hope to have some news soon about our progress there and any deals that we may get in place. The second opportunity here is more an Australian-centric thing. Is the TGA announced earlier this year that we have a regulatory framework to register CBD as a Schedule 3 product. So it's not over the counter as in the front of the shop at a pharmacy, but it's behind the pharmacy counter, very similar to where you'd find products like Panadol Osteo. So it's a conversation with a pharmacist to be able to be provided that product. But that regulatory framework now exists, and we've got an active program underway to look at a registration probably towards the back end of calendar year 2022. But it's a really exciting opportunity because we already have a large number of people in Australia who are using CBD only via the special access scheme. There are consumers who are accessing products, importing it from overseas, and having it through a registration process and available on almost every pharmacy shelf around the country will be a terrific opportunity to capitalise on. And we're really looking at a first indication and a first formulation. As I said earlier, this is really a platform technology, so we'll be adding other products and other formulations for that S3 regulatory framework, over the coming years. Just very quickly, we've got some examples of the Satori Farm product in situ in the UK market, and you can see it's a very familiar presentation of a cannabis product. It's not an oil. It's a capsule. It's one capsule in the morning, one capsule at night. So it's a very familiar dosing regimen and dose form that consumers and patients typically accustomed to for taking medication. So it also has great shelf presence. So it's in a market like this in the UK where it is self-selected, is front of shop as a food supplement product. It stands out on the shelf and makes it a very compelling product for people to buy. The second part of the Satori Farm opportunity, as Peter touched on earlier, is the medicinal cannabis side of things. So the patient approvals continue to grow in Australia. We know the global medicinal cannabis market is a very significant opportunity as it exists at the moment, and will continue to grow as more markets and more countries loosen their regulations around medicinal cannabis. But we're currently focused on we're moving a manufacturing line for the Satori Farm product into our facility in Mildura. Under that manufacturing process, that GMP manufacturing process that we'll start producing not only CBD containing products, but also products containing THC as well. We'll have a full range of products available in the first half of 2022 that will be available under the special access scheme. And again, this will be this capsule form of product. So we won't be a smoked product as dried flower is, or it won't be a tincture as 2 drops under the tongue. This will be one capsule in the morning, one capsule at night. Again, very, very familiar product form, dosage form that the doctors use for treating many other diseases in Australia. And we really see that presenting the product in that dose form, which is again very familiar, is that we'll see more doctors recommend and prescribe medicinal cannabis because of that familiarity of the dosing form and being more like traditional medicine that they know and use every day. The second part of the medicinal cannabis opportunity, which is really less about Satori Farm and more about the existing business that we have, is the supply of GMP compliant product into those markets that will take a medicinal cannabis product. We've already done the legwork and the hard work to open up the pathways to import into the largest medicinal cannabis market in Europe, which is Germany, with shipping 20,000 bottles back at the end of April, shipping over 20,000 bottles. But then also we've already put product, orders into, and we've got new orders being produced at the moment to go into the UK. And our strategic partnership with Iuvo Therapeutics in Germany gives us the opportunity to access some of the new markets that are coming online, like France, Italy, Poland are 3 markets at the moment that we're actively working with IUVO on in terms of working our way through the regulatory registration to be able to provide the existing products into those markets. So we've spent the last 12 months laying those foundations and getting through a number of quite difficult regulatory hurdles. And really our opportunity from now is to really amplify that and to start getting into a regular cadence of orders into both the UK and also into IUVO in Germany. And that's where we really see the growth in our revenue coming over the coming 12 months. But I'll leave it there and hand it back to you, Peter.
Terrific, thanks Shane. So last week we completed a $10 million institutional placement as part of a capital raise aimed at securing $20 million in additional funding. We will be seeking approval at an upcoming EGM to launch a share purchase plan for existing shareholders aimed at raising the remaining $10 million. These funds will be utilised to move forward on a number of new investment opportunities which we believe will accelerate our growth and deliver substantial cost savings to the business. By investing in a large-scale extraction capability into Mildura, we estimate that we can generate up to $23 million in cost savings compared to the current external cost base, where we rely on third parties for this part of the production process. That is a step change in our overall cost of goods and consequently in our margins. We're also investing in the installation of a dedicated gel pel manufacturing line in Mildura. Gel pel products are currently manufactured under contract in Switzerland. Bringing this capability in-house will deliver cost savings in the order of some 60%. The new funding will also enable us to accelerate the registration program for our low-dose CBD products. As Shane mentioned, we're working on submitting a registration dossier by the end of this year and, subject to approval, have a product launched by the end of next calendar year. So with Mildura coming online, a strong pipeline of proprietary differentiated products and some exciting prospects associated with the potential new distribution arrangements, we're continuing to consolidate a leadership position in the Australian industry while also establishing valuable new opportunities in international markets. We're producing products to the highest international GMP standards with a globally cost competitive position. The investments we are now making will strengthen our supply chain and generate stronger margins. In the Satori Farm gel pel technology, we have existing commercial products in major distribution channels and a patented product development platform to help drive strong future growth. And Vineyard 22 is expected to see strong revenue growth as we continue to build our existing supply arrangements and secure new offtake agreements. Thank you. Back to you and Andrew. We're happy to take questions.
Peter, whoops. There I am, Peter and Shane. Thanks very much for that presentation. All right, just you obviously talk about Mildura there, given your construction. The question is, why Mildura as a location? And are you confident on being able to access the workforce and the skills required at the facility? I guess that would also lend to the current issue just as far as border restrictions are concerned at the moment.
Yeah, water's not an issue. We're based on town water up there, and Mildura, once you head north of the divide in Victoria, the sunlight hours definitely took us north in terms of a glasshouse facility, and positioning ourselves in regional Victoria alongside one of the main centres for regional Victoria. Mildura is going to be a great hub for us. We plan to be an employer of choice in the region and have already started actively recruiting. So we're looking forward to what we can do in the district, and yeah, we're in a perfect setup there to take advantage of the skill set and population base that's there.
And obviously with your investment in Mildura in mind, a question coming, would you consider cropping outdoors at all?
Outdoor production will be an option, absolutely. But for us, the controlled environment and the high-tech environment, we've got our genomics research program coupled with that capability of controlled environment is going to put us in a position where we're not aiming to produce commodity cannabis. This is going to be highly specialised, and really exciting frontiers in terms of cannabinoids beyond CBD and THC, but even in the production of controlled production of cannabinoids under our system is going to be really important and a key part of our cost base to ensure we're globally competitive.
And Peter, obviously regulatory approvals are critical to your business. The question being, what other regulatory changes are you anticipating in the short to medium term?
There's some interesting things on the horizon, and maybe slipping my hat on as chairman of the MCIA, that's Medicinal Cannabis Industry Australia Group, which we established with a number of the early license holders so that we'd have an industry voice to the regulators at federal and state levels. But in terms of the discussions we're having with the TGA, we know that they are looking at, and they asked for public comment around the TGO 93, sorry to get technical, but that's one of the therapeutic goods orders that medicinal cannabis products respond to. And when it was first introduced, it had a very low threshold in terms of requirements for products, particularly imported products. The TGA are looking to change that to ensure that TGO 93 has a GMP requirement so that imported products and all products available in Australia will conform to the same standards. So that's a really important change that's working through the system. In terms of us having Mildura ready to go from day one, we've kept in contact with and are working closely with both the Office of Drug Control and the TGA the whole way through bringing the project online. So we've already got all of the licenses in place to allow us to continue with Mildura. It's the permits to become operational that are key, and that's where we're working closely with the regulators to be ready to do that from day one as soon as we're ready to commission the facility.
Okay, thanks, Peter. Just a question in terms of global supply and demand, with the talk that there are issues there. Can you sum up the current situation?
Yeah, I think and as I mentioned earlier, the requirement for GMP into certain markets is absolutely clear, and what is clear is that it's easy to say but hard to do. Through the last year and the work we had to do to get regulatory clearance to have product go into the German market and be available there for patients was a long and drawn out process, but having achieved that and got through it was absolutely critical, and being a proven, or having a proven capability in this space is what is now on the radar. So patients are looking for continuous and supply that's available each time they go back to get a prescription. In the early days here in Australia, product supply and continuity of supply was a big issue, and we're going to see that become more and more of a focus as the GMP requirements tighten up here as well. So it's here and overseas that the mismatch between supply of GMP grade product and patient demand and doctors expecting medicines that they expect to prescribe or look like they normally prescribe is where we're lining up to be ready to and can produce to those standards and make that demand.
And can you give us some idea of your research and development program at the moment and what results you expect to see from this?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've got multiple research programs underway, and I think being the first licensed operator in Australia, we were instrumental in helping getting research in a number of areas moving. So with Agriculture Victoria, we've got a genomics program. We're working with them and based out of the Agri-Bio Centre at La Trobe University here in Melbourne. We've got world-leading capability that we're working in closely with both AgVic and La Trobe. But we've also had programs underway with CSIRO and New South Wales DPI around helping establish an ecosystem that will allow the industry to grow here, not just Cann. We won't be the only player in the space, but being at the front edge of it has been a key part for us. And in the work we've already done to date, we've seen results flowing through that have already impacted on the design and how we'll be working through cultivation at scale in our Mildura facility.
All right, and an observation that the company appears to be focused on Europe. Are there other markets that are expected to mature and generate demand?
There will be, and I've been doing all the talking, so Shane, you might want to chip in on this one. But yes, we're looking in obviously the Asian region, but also keeping an eye on what's happening in the US with federal legislation and changes over there. That they won't be quick to come into play, but they, as they do come through the system, we're going to be in the box seat ready to respond to them. Have you got anything you want to add there, Shane?
No, that was I think, and that's why we see having the patent protected Satori Farm product form as being a really critical differentiator. There'll be plenty of companies with oil-based products or soft gels or flour, but having something like the Satori Farm product, which is, very differentiated, patent protected technology, we see will be, if you're going to be an Australian company and try and get yourself established in some of these big markets, you need a differentiated product. You need to be able to tell a story around why you think your product is a better way to take medicinal cannabis. And that was part of the attraction of the Satori Farm acquisition, as it really did give us that platform to be able to make those claims. And we did go after some of these big markets that will come online over the next few years.
Shane and Peter, thanks very much for the presentation, and thanks for joining us from Cann Group.
Terrific. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, everyone.